Thank you very much. And now we'll call upon the leader of the opposition.
Yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, if I hear a plan of something, if I hear a policy, I'd like to hear actually why it's going to be effective. Because who are they going to prosecute? Why will this plan work? All questions that we think is really good to know if you're standing in a proposition. But we have some harm with it, and I'll show you why society and why the state can actually allow this, why there's no harm on society in the first place, why there isn't anything like protecting yourself, and thirdly, the thing about jurisdiction, because we think that is really important too. But first, summary bit, because she said like, yeah, this can never be a rational choice, you're always forced into it by your family, and that's very sad. But it can be a very rational choice to make your end, to end your life in a worthy way. In your own choice, what they like to do. And we say that can be a very rational decision. If you have no future goal, if you're terminally ill, if you are having pain, it can be a very rational choice on your own. So it does happen a lot in Holland actually. And then she said like, then what we are asking ourselves is, because she says like, suicide, yeah, that's legal, you can do that, because that's your own choice. Well, in Holland, and I think in England too, suicide is actually legal, well, maybe they're not. But then how can you see the difference between suicide and euthanasia? I mean, that's really different, and how can you say there was no pressure from family in the suicide thing? And we say there is no difference, you cannot see the difference, so we'd rather give people a worthy end instead of hanging themselves. Okay, but then, well, if we think it's so good, well, why shouldn't we legalize it? Well, because the majority in a country can actually think that it's wrong to do euthanasia. They can think it's wrong. And that's why you do not want to legitimize it in your country. But the minority in our country, who actually is terminally ill, can think it's a very good idea. But in this way, the dictated majority is deciding what the minority can do, even outside his own country. And we think that's very bad idea. No, thank you. But then I'd like to go on. Why do we in the first place prohibit euthanasia? And why in this case there is no harm to society, and second, why there's no harm in protecting yourself. Okay, but first of all, the harm in society. Because, well, the state doesn't want to legitimize a certain action because they are immoral according to the majority of society, which is in some countries the case with euthanasia. And therefore, if you would legitimize this, this would be very harmful to beliefs in our society. Christians, for example, can feel very sad that people are in the nuclear and things like that. But when this action, in example euthanasia, does happen in another country, with another society, there is no harm to the society in your own country. So that doesn't work. And what we're saying is that, well, euthanasia will happen anyway. Well, I mean, people ending their lives when they have no future will happen anyway, and then you do it with suicide. But the harm, like the people who live in society, that harm doesn't occur, and that is why we don't legitimize it. So, no, if there is euthanasia taking place somewhere else, there is no harm. I mean, we don't have a demonstration of Christians saying it's so bad, everyone flies to Switzerland and kills himself there. No, there isn't, so there's no harm to society.
Madam,
go ahead.
The point is that the harm is that the state is giving up the protection of one of its citizens, just to protect the interest of the
protection of citizens, exactly the point I'm going now. Because we think, yeah, the state should protect yourself, and it should protect the citizen. We agree with that, but it doesn't go in this case. Right? Well, when you travel to another country, you're taking a lot of effort. You're buying, in this case, a ticket to Switzerland. So we think that if you make all those efforts to go to another country, you would do suicide anyway. So there is no harm to yourself. That is the whole point. I mean, it takes a lot of effort to leave your country, go to another country, and if you think having a worldly life, if you think that ending your life is worth that, you would take the other option, which is suicide. So no, protection of yourself is not a case in this example, in this policy. So we would like to give people the better option to actually end their life in a worldly way. Okay, maybe when you are afraid of setting a precedent, maybe when you think that something is immoral, yes, then you can prohibit something. But you aren't allowed to actually prosecute something and people out of your borders when there is no harm to your citizens. And let me do the example of weed. There are lots of Englishmen or Frenchmen coming to Amsterdam and smoking a lot of weed. But their countries are not allowed to prosecute them because it is legal in our country. And yes, you can say, well, smoking weed is not harmful at all. It actually is very harmful and can lead to very slow death too. But that's not the case. We say that it's the jurisdiction of that country to actually say what is good in its country. The only thing you can prosecute someone where your jurisdiction counts is when there's third-party harm. When I kill someone here, England can prosecute me because I'm the one doing the harm. But in the case of euthanasia, there is no third-party harm because it is your own choice and you're the one who's doing the harm to yourself. So no, that falls to a fair side. Okay, so when you're a citizen, we think that the principle of sovereignty actually says that that you should protect your own citizens and you're allowed to do everything to do that. But when you're a citizen making this choice on his own, making a rational choice, as I showed you, because it can be very rational to end your life in a world game, which they have said nothing about. They always think that irrational and irrational, and it's their choice. That's not the case. I've shown that it can be very good to end your life in a world game. So when you do that, there is no third-party harm, and you cannot prohibit to do that. I mean, you cannot infringe the sovereignty of another country, what you're doing actually, because you say, like, my citizen can't go there and cannot do things that are legal under Europe. You're infringing his sovereignty of this other country. So, no, you cannot do that when there is no harm. Because we say that the state protects the morality of citizens of your territory. And you translate the morality of the majority in your country into the laws in your country to represent the moral that is in your society. But other countries have other preferences. When we travel to this country cannot be allowed to press the homeland morality on the other country. That is not the way it works in the world. That is why there are all different states with all different moralities. And you cannot say, like, I'll press my morality on yours because my citizens are traveling. That is not how it works. Thank God, because otherwise none of you could smoke weed in our country. And that would be really bad, I think. Okay, so please, always